out behind Swiss out there.
Highway F somewhere.
Yeah.
What's this?
We have some on here.
No, it's right.
I mean, one song.
That's why I'm surprised I didn't have, because I got that big pine tree, and I see roots in the yard.
Mhm.
I They scoped it out a year ago.
That was going to be on the start board with Jefferson. They just couldn't get it cleaned up, opened up, so they dug her up, and they saw the junk out of it, just solid.
I need to clean this out sometime. I got
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for being here and those that are watching on TV. I have a very sharp mayor's report as usual. Basically what I want to do is I want to give a shout out to Tammy and the Tourism Commission. The people have been working around the clock since they've had the CARE Act money and they have really been doing a lot to promote Hermann. They've been working very hard. They are in the process of sending a packet out to the different businesses to really inform the businesses what all they are doing, and I'm not going to go into great detail. But if you go up I-70, there's 4 new billboards. They have come out with a new visitor guide. It's very well done. And if you can pick one up in the hallway when you leave if you would like to get one. I just wanted to give them a shout out because it's not just Tammy, it's the whole crew. And again, the Tourism Commission is a volunteer just like the Park Board and everything else. That's one great thing about Hermann is the people that dedicate their time to make things good here. So I wanted to recognize them. But you know, also on the same note, you know, Hermann is really blessed. Not just with the tourism department, with our police officers, with our dispatchers, the ladies in the office, all our departments, the city crews, the street crews, the water, the gas, the electric. Hopefully I won't miss anybody. But you know, if you see the guys out working in the ditches and that and you're close by, it doesn't hurt to stop by and say thank you. You know, a lot of times they don't get the recognition and they're the ones that keep our city running. And I'm sure the other thing that's on most people's mind is through this cold session that we've just had is what the heck's going to happen because of the gas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have City Administrator Mark try and explain to the best of his ability of what the situation is at this point. So Mark, if you would take over.
Sure. I wish to bring everyone up to date on the recent uncalled for and illegal raising of natural gas prices caused by the polar vortex in mid-February. Traders of natural gas saw an opportunity to gouge cities all across the Midwest because of the extreme cold that reached far down in the south and stayed for an extended time, and they seized the opportunity. According to our gas marketing company, this was nothing more than greed. And here's how that affected the city. Our normal gas bill for the city of Hermann for February would be around $115,000 to $120,000. It's all contingent upon the weather. This year's February's bill came in at $674,753.58, roughly an increase of $550,000. If the city billed each of the 1,025 gas customers to recoup this money, each gas customer will be billed an additional $536 for this month's gas. The city of Hermann has no choice at this time other than to pay this outrageous gas bill. The city leaders here and around the Midwest have contacted state and federal representatives to, number one, investigate this ridiculous price gouging, and second, to see if there are funds available to help pay these bills. We do not know if and when this will take place. Until then, the city has the funds in reserve to pay for the gas. If we get funds released by the state to help the cost of this, that is great. We can replenish our reserve. but I do not want to pass this cost on until we know how this will all end. If we do not get funds, it will be up to the Board of Aldermen to decide the process in which we want to recoup the money. Right now, it's my recommendation that the city of Hermann temporarily absorb this increase and not pass it on to our gas customers. We have time to see how this plays out.
Thank you so much.
Also, one other, on a different topic, it's time to consider raises for the staff. At last year's budget process, we held off on it because of the uncertainty of how the pandemic would affect our sales tax. As we consider the increase now, expenses are down 2% and sales tax exceeded last year's total. This is my recommendation that the employees receive an increase of at least 2%.
And we also received the $17,000 in CARES Act funds for payroll reimbursement,
Did everybody hear that?
which is more than enough to cover 2%.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I add one thing to his report, please?
Sure.
Several years ago, when I became an alderman, there was a push on by some members of our community to get rid of our utilities. Most notably the electric, but the gas and the water were also going to go. Their reasoning was faulty. The information they used to come to their conclusions was misleading and in many times incredibly false. Once we realized what is happening, we put our foot down and said no. The current mayor and I were both on the Board of Aldermen at that time, and with some information supplied by Dr. Korber over here before he became mayor, we finally put an end to that nonsense. I want everybody to understand just how important that decision is right now. When we kept our utilities, we started modernizing them. We brought our rate structure to where it was supposed to be. Unlike everybody was saying, it was not too expensive. We started building up our reserves. We modernized our equipment. We made it more efficient. If all of those things had not happened, right now, the citizens of this town would be getting that bill that we're trying to find a way so they don't have to pay. I just want to make that very clear, how lucky we are to have retained control of our utilities. And nobody could have foreseen this particular situation, but God bless us, we can do it now. I mean, we have some control over this, so I just want to make sure everybody understands that. Thank you.
Okay, public comments, we have one, I believe, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Mike's load.
I saw him lay a card up there.
You have the floor, sir.
I just wanted to, maybe not now, but I wanted to comment, or it's a maybe, I think, when I put down.
It doesn't maybe.
It's a maybe with a question mark. But I'm interested in the bill number 202109. So I don't have any comments right now, but I'd like to be, maybe comment at a later
When
point.
we're discussing.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
all right. We will move on to ordinances.
All right. First, on for first reading is bill number 2021-08. It would be an ordinance to approve and authorize the execution of an assignment and assumption of business lease agreement. And that proposed assignment and assumption of business lease is attached. And essentially, we are just changing some parties here where K-Ray Development and the Weinberger Trust and Kevin Meyer are being replaced in this agreement with Casey's Marketing Company. So it's more or less a formality.
Anybody have any question?
I move Bill 2021-08 first read.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We do need to read that a second time. Is it time is your?
Bill number 2021-08 for second reading, an ordinance to approve and authorize the execution of an assignment and assumption of business lease.
I have a motion to approve second.
I move to approve bill number 2021-08.
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Also carried.
Next is bill number 2021-09, An ordinance to amend Hermann Municipal Code Section 410.080D to eliminate the permit requirement for sandwich board signs in the historic overlay district and to ensure ADA compliance where sandwich board signs are used.
Any discussion from up here?
I do have something I noticed as I read the ordinance. And under section 1, letter D, number 4, I find that to be a little confusing where it says, and within 6 feet of the building. The city administrator did some measuring on Schiller Street today of the sidewalk. And what did you find, Mark?
It varied 5, 6, 10, 11 feet. There was no uniform sidewalk width.
And what I'm getting at is, if we have sections that's only 6 foot, that would put the sign all the way out to the edge of the curb within the ADA passage. Same thing with 5 foot. I think if we just leave number 4, the sign shall be located on the same lot of the building of the business. Leave out and within 6 foot of the building.
And it does say the placement of the sign shall allow for the sidewalk width required by the ADA already, so.
Yeah. Well, if we put that 6 foot in there, to me, that makes it complicated.
So take out the 6 foot?
Just take the 6 foot out.
Because of the different sizes of.
Yeah,
different
sometimes
sizes.
it's just impossible to do
You know,
it.
on First Street, we have a 12-foot wide uniform. Schiller Street, it varies from 5 foot to 6 foot.
Makes sense to me.
If they're in a 10 foot, you come out 6 foot from the building, then we'll reduce our ADA.
Is that agreeable with everyone?
It is with me.
Is it okay legally? We good? Okay.
I suspect the reason that was put in there is because you might have some businesses that are on lots where the building doesn't abut up against the sidewalk, where it's set back quite a ways, or where the building is relatively small compared to the lot, and you've got a lot of room. And the city wasn't wanting those businesses who are even close to the street to take their sandwich board sign and set it way out by the street.
Well, if it's sitting in front of on their property or in front of their business, I can't see a problem with it.
If that's okay, I can take that out.
Okay. I move Bill 2021-09 approved with the changes that Alderman Sherman suggested.
Hang on one second. Mike had asked if you
Oh,
could
I'm
ask
sorry.
a question. Okay, Mike.
Thank you. So my only thought process in this is if these ordinances are made to protect the city and at the same time it protects the businesses and the citizens. So my thought process is this: if the board would consider, when you're in violation, you're gonna get a letter. When you're in compliance, it works the same way. So is it possible that you would consider issuing a letter to those businesses that are in compliance? Because it is made to work both ways. And so that's what I would consider you to look at, is if a business or entity is complying with this, they get the same type of letter so that there's no falsification of process.
Everybody get the same thing?
Well, if a business is not in compliance, they're gonna get a visit by somebody. And if we were to have a letter that says, on the other side, the same thing, it protects the city, protects us too. It works both ways. So I would ask you to consider to have a letter that would say, this particular business is compliance. So it protects both sides. So there's no falsification of problems.
I understand what you're saying. I guess the only problem I have with that, we issue the letter and you're in compliance, and then the next month, if you wanna, then you're not in compliance, it's just a lot of extra paperwork.
You can do it every day,
You're-
the front of
you're-
the sign, you could be compliant
exactly
one month
right.
and out of compliance.
So I mean, that's the problem I see with doing that.
But in the same way, they could be non-compliant one day, and then the next day they'll be compliant. So
Do
again,
you
it
keep a
protects
list of
both
all the
sides.
businesses that have sandwich boards? So you have a list of who has them, so you would know if they were
No,
compliant?
this is getting rid
Won't
of.
be a permit.
The only thing that we're requiring is that every business can have one, and that if it's out on the sidewalk, it cannot be, they have to leave 5-foot passage ADA. That's the only thing they have to worry about being, and then the compliance are the things right here about the size and the materials,
Yeah.
and then that ADA.
I would think the only reason that anyone would get in trouble once this permit part is taken out is the size of it. If somebody has one that's,
But they're made pretty much all the same.
well, I know, but I'm just saying I'm just telling you what I see or think could be a problem.
Yeah, like Rick said last time, the homemade type of sign.
Yeah, I appreciate where you're going, but I don't really think, and plus that just puts more work on the girls in the office with
It
it.
does. It does. It
I think-
absolutely does.
I don't think I would tell them to do that.
The code enforcement officer did send a letter out a couple weeks ago to all businesses on First, Schiller, and Market, designating that, the sign should not impede traffic. Maybe to help what Mike's saying there is, once this is passed, we could send a copy of the ordinance to all the businesses, and then they know. But to send out each one every time, like I said, somebody go out and put the sign to your right, then you had a pedestrian slides that over 2 foot, now all of
And
a
that
sudden.
happens all the time.
Yeah, but that way, if we got this proved, anybody that's in that area get a copy of the ordinance, so they're aware of it. And then, if they're in violation, then we'll have code enforcement or the city police department contact those people, advise them they're in violation, give them a verbal warning or a written, and then if they continue, well, then the city has no other choice.
Okay,
Would that be fair?
thank you.
Thank you for your input.
Thanks, Mike.
Just for what it's worth in terms of legal options, I think the city can take the sign and say, come and get it, and we're gonna keep doing it until you're in compliance.
I think that's in.
I mean, otherwise, we're doing summons and letters and all these
Right.
things. Because it's gonna be on city property.
Right. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I have a second.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We'll move on to resolution.
So there's a resolution on for tonight, and my apologies to Charles Baumstark. My assignment was to do an amendment to this business lease for the parking lot there and replace Charles with Danny. And I made the wrong assumption that Charles was deceased, and that's why we were doing it. So if, I would respectfully ask that you let me amend this for the next meeting, and we'll get it right.
Is there a time element on this too, do you know?
Yeah, I think he is in a hurry for it.
Well, I would ask him to call me maybe. Is it Danny you're talking to? Or,
Yes.
because the lease is with Hermann Lumber Company, Inc., the corporation. And then on the prior lease, Charles was also a signing party to the lease. In my opinion, there really is no need to have Charles or Danny individually on the lease at all. We've already got, Hermann Lumber Company, Inc. is the entity that we're allowing to use the parking lot. I suspect that the city got them individually initially, as lawyers tend to do when they're doing leases, to get them personally on the hook for any rent or liabilities in addition to their corporation. So not only do I not think it's a timing issue, I really don't think it's necessary for them to be on it at all, but I'm happy to do it that way if they want.
Okay,
It
so
only works out better for us.
we'll have Mr. Baumstark contact him then.
If needed, otherwise we'll do it next week.
Okay, that's fine.
Would Charlie to call you?
No?
Okay, we'll move on to old business. Anyone have old business? Awful quiet. Okay. No old business, we'll move to new business. If, under new business, we'll bring up the pay raise thing.
If you like, I made my recommendation.
Okay. Normally, the pay raises, when we do this, is done in our budget time, so being that the the way this year has turned out, we told the employees we didn't know if we could give a pay raise, so it was not done in the budget, and they've been very, very patient with us. And now things are in good enough condition that I think we can go with the recommendation of the 2%, but we need to do it this way instead of our normal way.
I would make a motion to go with the city administrator's recommendation on the pay raise.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
No, second.
Motion's been made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business?
Just the question concerning the gas, the utility, is there, how is that going to be determined, how that's going to be resolved, and are we going to be getting together, or is there?
That'll be over a period of time, because
The commission?
it's all gonna end up going in litigation, I'm sure,
I'll
with the
have-
Attorney General and upward and whoever gets involved with that.
I can tell you that I'll know more after Wednesday. We're going to talk to Ron Reagan from Utility Gas Management. Hopefully he'll have some insight, but somehow we need to recoup that money because that's how the gas company operates. We've got some big projects that we may have to postpone, but we need to recoup that somehow, and it can be over a number of years. It can be built into the rate, it can be built in as a surcharge, however we want to get it back. We just couldn't gouge the public on that kind of a 1-month bill.
So how will that be reflected in the next billing? Because the next billing is the one that's going to be,
There'll be nothing reflected from it.
Yeah, we're
So
not,
next billing.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna bill a normal February this time.
Right.
Until this kind of works its way out, and then we'll see how we wanna recoup that.
The February bills are gonna be high anyway, because the billing starts the 10th, and that's when it was super cold, so.
so is the baseline like 120,000, what the average is, something like this, and just use that as a baseline?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mayor Cox, if I may,
Yes, sir.
according to our gas supplier, the states of Kansas and Indiana and Illinois have already stepped up to the plate to help their municipalities and electric consumers by providing grants and money to help replenish the city's funds. And Missouri has not, and the governor's office and Congress are kicking the ball back and forth among each other as to whose responsibility it is to get that done. But our neighboring states, even Illinois, government found a way to get it done, and we can't, and I think that's kind of embarrassing for our public officials, frankly. So contact your senators and representatives and the governor's office. Can't hurt.
I just happen to have those numbers.
And Mr. Griesheimer was on it, you know, he emailed right away to the governor's office, and they emailed right back basically saying no, so.
Well, at this time, 47 state reps are pushing the Attorney General to immediately file an investigation into this. These crooks can't hide on this one. I mean, they did it to too many people.
That's an investigation into the gas company, that's not the state helping.
Yeah, I know.
Helping
But
get
it's,
relief.
Every bit of pressure helps.
Okay, anything else under new, excuse me, under new business? We'll move on to motions. Have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Invoices for payment.
Move we pay the bill.
I have a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Pay the bill. Item C, conditional use permit renewals for unoccupied guest house. Timmy, you want me to read all these?
Yes, at least their names.
Timothy Cahill, Round Here, French Hill, on East Second. Greg and Don Lippert, Helmig House, 112 West First. Barton Chris Tateman, Parkview Guest House, 12221 Washington. Don Boardman, Greystone Guest House, 202 West 6. Steve Vollmer, the Florian Stone Cottage, 214 West 4th. Arminius Holdings, DeFlorian Brick Cottage, 218 West Forest. Arminius Holdings, DeFlorian Bicentennial Inn, 223 West Fourth. Tom and Kathy Durham, Black Oak Inn, 129 West 3rd. Alex and Amanda Stimmy, Klinger Mansion, 108 East 2nd. Jim Holland, One Willer Inn, 409 Washington.
Yes, and the spreadsheet on the front of your packet there is showing that they're all compliant and up to date with all of their taxes, licenses, and inspections. And the ones that are required to have managers' contracts have submitted those as well.
Very good. So everybody is good to go.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Item D is the conditional use permit renewals for outdoor liquor consumption for Firm Wage Distilling Company on Schiller Street and Tenniel Restaurant, 315 East First Street.
I see no major problems, I'll move to approve.
Motion's been made to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carried. D, we have a municipal corporation quitclaim deed for Dalton Ackerman, Lot 6, Lot 8, West 4th Street. This is just another one of those, they want to make sure we don't owe anything.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
I think you missed one.
I missed one?
10 mil?
I did them together.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay, next item is Mediacom lease terms and rent. Any questions on that?
Is it rent, is it for our hookup for the video or?
This is the ground around the tower.
What is it, Fifth Street Hill goes up there on the left? They've got their tower or whatever sitting out there, I'm assuming that's what this is.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next we have records destruction in accordance with the state retention schedule. Need a motion to let them destroy the records.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We need to go into a closed session that will conclude our regular meeting.
I move we adjourn open session and go in closed session for the purpose of dealing with matters relating to hiring, firing, disciplining, promoting employees pursuant to state statutes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we need a roll call.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
So moved.